Hi everyone, and thank you, Lavinia. So I'm Megan. I'm based in Singapore. I currently lead the learning experience design and delivery team at New Campus. We're a modern business school and a learning partner for fast-growing organizations. I actually wanted to start by just extending an invitation to everyone. So I love for everyone to just imagine that right now you're at a bar or a pub. Maybe it's for like an annual catch-up that you have with your friends, right? You're all kind of sitting there. It's a nice warm room. It's cozy. You're just trading stories. And I want you to think about what's that story that you tell them about that year, right? This year that we've had 2024. What is that one story that is going to keep everyone hooked and kind of like listening to you? And I'll share with you my story. So mine is about quite a specific night out when I was traveling in Europe earlier this year. I was in Granada, I was in Spain. There was a series of unplanned events, and also quite a few glasses of sangria, which led to me, on this adventure. I lost a gift that was given to me. I gained another random gift. I made a really unexpected new friend, who was from Singapore, but like, in Spain. And overall, this was like a story about serendipity. It's a story about chance. It's a quite a chaotic story, and it's a story about creating new memories. And I'm sure that right now, as you guys are thinking about being in this pub bar, catching up with your friends, I'm sure that each of you have such a story that comes to mind as well, and a story that you love to tell, right? One that keeps like new friends, old friends laughing, lifts the mood for everyone, hooked on like the next thing that happens in the story. And I also want everyone to imagine if your learners, the ones for whom you're facilitating programs for, designing programs for, just imagine if they could actually talk about your L&D programs in the same way. So the question for me that I think is most pressing for L&D for 2025 is actually this, which is how do we intentionally design for serendipity? So I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think serendipity is important. It's very close to my heart and it's a passion area of mine. I think on the surface, serendipity is fun. Fun creates strong memories, and memory making is very important for the learning process. And our most important stories about ourselves are fundamentally quite fun. They're stories about serendipity, they're about adventures that you've been on, things that you didn't expect. It was when things that are kind of seemingly random and magical happen, just because we're there in that moment. And ultimately, they are stories about chance, about chaos and creation. I think if you go one level deeper, you would also find that serendipity allows us to feel in control of our experiences. It creates the sense of personal agency, right? That our stories are uniquely ours to own. In a way, it hints to us that we are the main characters of our own lives, and that these are things and events that didn't just happen to us. They happened because we were there at the heart of it. So I know that intentionally designing for serendipity might sound a bit like an oxymoron. Serendipity is often unplanned, but design's quite intentional. And sometimes I think that we get too focused on outcomes and forget that even in the most structured or rigid of learning design, actually every single learner takes a different journey to get to the same point. So for example, who you choose to sit right down next to at a random workshop can actually totally change your experience of how the workshop goes for you. So what I would love to see more of in 2025 is actually more serendipity, more choose your own adventure kind of learning experiences, more one-to-one breakout rooms, more empty spaces, more moments to connect. One of the things that we've been experimenting with at New Campus is actually module bidding systems in which learners take credits and end up bidding on modules that they would like to attend. And enrollment actually goes to those who put in the highest bid. So kind of adding these elements to introduce chance and chaos into the learning process and put people in contact with different permutations of content, learning, and people. So I also think that there's a larger context for why I think designing for serendipity is going to be so important in 2025. And one of my core beliefs is that learning at the end of it reflects the state of the world. And I think as we head into 2025, we're just continuing to hurtle into this future, this uncertain future where conditions and the purpose of work are becoming more and more uncertain. And in that kind of context, I believe that the skills required for effective work is constantly changing. And we see businesses and we see business leaders actually struggling to keep up with this pace of change. And I do think in all this context that learning is going to become more important than ever. It's going to be the thing that keeps us moving in jobs, in life, gives us mobility. But at the same time, it's also actually going to compete for attention with everything else that's happening, whether that's new technology, right? Earlier we talked about silver bullets, for example. Technology, supercomputers, but it could also just be competing for attention with memes on TikTok or Reels on Instagram, whichever platform you prefer. And so at the conclusion of this, I would love for everyone to think about 2025 and think about how powerful it might be this time of year, next year, when everyone's catching up for Christmas with their friends, right? Sat around the pub, exchanging and trading stories. And just imagine how powerful it would be if people are not talking about the time that they got shit-faced in Europe, but actually a story about your L&D experience, one that you've crafted for serendipity, one that doesn't leave their minds, one that comes back to these very core human experiences around chance, chaos, and creation.